Here we have a SAT math question. Okay, let's go to the information. The 2 points k of 1 comma 0 and j of a comma negative 1 are on a circle. If the point O of 0 comma 0 is the center of the circle, which of the following could be the measure of angle JOK? Okay, first let me draw an xy plane and a circle with the center 0 comma 0. Here we have a circle with center 0 comma 0, that is origin. Okay, now we have to mark these 2 points k of 1 comma 0 and j of a comma negative 1 on the circle. So we know that this point is on the x-axis because the y-coordinate is 0, on the positive side of x-axis because the x-coordinate of the point k is just positive 1. So let me mark 1 over here. So then this is 1 comma 0, that is the point k. Okay, now I just identify the location of the point j of a comma negative 1. Okay, so y coordinate is negative 1. Okay, let me mark the y coordinate over here as negative 1. And we can notice one more important thing. So using this point 1 comma 0 and the center, so clearly the radius of the circle is just 1 unit. And so if I consider the value of a as positive between 0 and 1, actually a is the exponent, and if a is a positive value between 0 and 1, so then the point of negative 1, a comma negative 1 should be at somewhere else over here, but it's not on the circle. When I consider this exponent for j, that is a is a positive value between 0 and 1, it's not on the circle. So also moreover, we can consider the distance between the y coordinate of the center of the circle and the y coordinate of the point j. So what is the distance between these 0 and negative 1? Let me mark these two values on the number line. So what is the distance between the y coordinate of the center 0 comma 0 and the y coordinate of the point j negative 1? It's just 1 unit. So it's exactly the radius. Then the point a comma negative 1 should be over here, so that I am getting the radius of 1 unit over here. So that a has to be 0. So anyway, so we have located the point j of a comma negative 1, that's on the y-axis over here. Okay, now according to the question, we have to find the measure of angle JOK. So this is point J, and here we have O, here we have K. So I have to measure the angle JOK. I need the angle measure over here, JOK. Actually, so when I consider the 4 quadrants, so there is this quadrant 1, quadrant 2, and this is quadrant 3, and this is quadrant 4. And this angle measure comes in the 4th quadrant. So when I measure the angle in the 4th quadrant, usually we start doing rotation. So usually we consider this is 0 radians. We start moving from 0 in the clockwise direction. So when I move from 0 in the clockwise direction, I'll be getting a negative angle. So then we know that this is 90 degree. So since we move from 0 in clockwise direction, so it has to be negative 90 degree, or in terms of radians, the angle measure over here has to be pi over 2 radians. So the angle measure of JOK, let me write over here, JOK equals to negative pi over 2 radians. Okay, now in the given options, we have to find the one which is equal to negative pi over 2. So how do we have to find it? So for example, so let me consider the angle measure of one full rotation in clockwise direction. So as I said, like if I start moving from 0 in the clockwise direction, I'll be getting a negative angle since it's 90 degree. And since I'm moving clockwise direction, I'm taking this 90 degree as negative 90. In radians, we mentioned this one as negative pi over 2. If I complete one full rotation, like I start moving 0 and in clockwise direction, when I complete one full rotation, it will be negative 360 degree, or in radians, we'll be writing a negative 2 pi. So negative 2 pi is the angle measure of full rotation. So when I do a clockwise rotation from 0. Okay, so like I just started from 0. When I complete one full rotation, so I just covered negative 2 pi angle measure. Again, I am at the same position of 0. Okay, if I do one more rotation, so what will happen? I would have covered negative 4 pi radians angle measure. Still, I'm at the position of 0. So either negative 2 pi or negative 4 pi, always it can be considered 0 radians, because 0 and this negative 2 pi angle measure, both of them are at the same position, 0. So when you have a full rotation angle measure, so instead of that, so we can consider the position where we have. So for example, let's consider negative 2 pi, negative pi over 3. Okay, now let's find the position of this angle measure. So first I have to complete this negative 2 pi. I know that this is this is an angle measure of 1 full rotation in clockwise direction from 0. Okay, now let me start moving from 0 in the clockwise direction. So when I reach over here, so I have completed negative 2 pi. So I have to travel further negative pi over 3. So when I do so, I reach the position negative pi over 3. So this is the position of negative pi over 3. So now we can ignore this negative 2 pi. So because it gives the position of negative pi over 3. So whenever we have an angle measure in terms of the angle measure of full rotation, we can ignore that, we can consider the rest. Okay, now we have to apply the same logic in each of the options. Okay, let me check the options one by one. Okay, now let me take the answer choice A, that we have negative 39 over 2 times 5. So when I divide this 39 over 2, I'm getting 19.5 pi. So I have to write this angle measure in terms of the angle measure of full rotation, that is in terms of multiple of 2 and negative 2 pi. So then I'm getting negative 18 pi, negative 1.5 pi. So when I divide this negative 18 pi by negative 2 pi, because we know that this is the angle of full rotation in clockwise direction. When I do so, this negative will cancel out, pi will cancel. When I divide 18 by 2, I'm getting 9. So we have 9 full rotations in this negative 18 pi. So this is an angle measure of 9 full rotations. So as I said earlier, so we can ignore this. We can just consider only the rest. Then this is equal to the position of negative 1.5 pi. So this negative 1.5 pi can be written as 3 over 2 pi. So negative 39 over 2 pi in option A equals to negative 3 over 2 pi. But it is not equal to the angle measure what we got over here from 0 to this position. Already we have discussed this one. The angle measure over here is negative pi over 2. So the answer choice A is incorrect. Okay, now let's verify option B. So in answer choice B, we have negative 21 pi. So we have to write this negative 21 pi in terms of the angle measure of full rotation. So we can write this one as negative 20 pi, negative pi. So because this is a angle measure of full rotations. So when I divide this negative 20 pi by the angle measure of one full rotation is negative 2 pi. So negative will cancel, pi will cancel. I'm getting 20 over 10, 20 over 2, which is 10. So I have 10 full rotations in this negative 20 pi. Since this is the angle measure of full rotations, we can ignore this, we can consider the rest. So the negative 21 pi is equal to negative pi. But here we must get negative pi over 2 as the angle measure for JOK. So the angle measure we have in answer choice B is not equal to negative pi over 2. So we can reject answer choice B. Now let me consider so answer choice C, that is negative 18 pi. So it's already it's an angle measure of full rotation. So because when I divide this negative 18 pi by the angle measure of one full rotation in clockwise direction, that is negative 2 pi, I'm getting 9. So we have 9 full rotations. So we can take 0. We can take positive 0 along with this negative 18 pi. Since this is an angle measure of 9 full rotations, we can ignore this, we can consider the rest. That is 0. So that is negative 18 pi equals to 0. So again, so the answer, the angle measure we have in option C is not equal to negative pi over 2. So we can reject option C also. Now I can check option D, that is negative 53 over 2 pi. So when I divide 53 by 2, I'm getting negative 26.5 pi. So as I said earlier, I have to write this one in terms of multiple of angles of full rotation, that is negative 26 pi, negative 0.5 pi. So because this is the angle of full rotations, so when I divide this negative 26 pi by negative 2 pi, which is the angle measure of one full rotation in clockwise direction, so I'm getting 13. That is, we have 13 full rotations in this 26 pi. Since this is an angle measure of full rotations, we can ignore this. We can consider the rest. Then we get negative 0.5 pi. This negative 0.5 can be written as a negative 1/2 times pi. Or we can write this one as negative pi over 2. So the angle measure we have in answer choice D is equal to negative pi over 2. So that is exactly the angle measure we have for the angle JOK. So the correct answer choice for this question is option D.